Hello and welcome to Give and Take, the Virtues in Life. And today's topic is Jake, the superhero. And we have a wonderful guest who's going to tell us all about Jake, the superhero. So welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for
Wonderful.
having me.
Yes. So go ahead. You can tell us your name and what you
Oh,
do.
okay. Well, my name is Bradshaw, and I'm the
Okay.
creator of Jet Pulse Comics.
Wonderful.
What I'm creating is an online, or it's actually educational comic books based on the refrigerator drawings of my son Jacob, who is 8 years old and on the autism spectrum.
Okay. And so Jake drew these pictures. It's funny, I used to do that as a little girl too. I used to draw these pictures, and my mum and dad used to put them on the fridge for me. And so you turned your pictures into a comic book, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was a means to basically help pull my son into learning and to help him strengthen like whatever weaknesses that he had in school by incorporating his lessons in with his comic book adventures. So
Okay.
by turning his refrigerator drawings into like a comic book universe, it would
I like that.
help engage him, and he'd want to know more about what's going on.
So tell us a little bit about Jake, when you found out, when he was diagnosed and those kinds of things with autism.
Right. Well, Jake was 3.5 when he started showing symptoms of autism. It was
Okay.
about 4 when we received the diagnosis, so he
Okay.
was at pre-K age. We did notice that he was very self-directed. He really didn't engage the other children in the classroom. Um, Separating him from him was hard because we were just getting familiar with the close adherence to his routines. So getting to like it was basically like getting to know our child all over again.
Okay.
And what we did notice was that Jake had a speech delay where he was limited to only maybe a 3 or 4 word vocabulary,
Okay.
which is not a lot compared to other like 4 or 5 year old children. So he was only limited to basically "I want juice" or maybe other small limited demands, which caused for a lot of like meltdowns, tantrums.
Sure.
And it was at that point when I decided that I would also not only was I looking for help for therapists and like early intervention, but also what I could do as a parent. So I started Googling like information, like Googling ways that like how parents can also help children who are on the spectrum, and I came across several sites that spoke about like art therapy exercises.
Okay.
And being an artist myself, I thought this was a great way to like try to you know communicate with Jake. So we incorporated like 25-minute lessons every day after school of
Excellent.
just um, drawing our emotions, or like using like representing our emotions with colors. And this is pretty much how the Jake Jetpulse character like came from these art therapy lessons.
Okay, lovely. We had spoke about this when you said that they had talked about him having Asperger's, but then
Right.
they had changed that term to PPD-NOS, which means non-specific. And we
Right.
and I know about this because I worked with children who have autism, and I did, protocols with them at the age of Jake was when he was diagnosed. I worked with that age, so I understand it very well, and I know how important it is to get them to get as much vocabulary as they can so that they can communicate without getting frustrated. So I understand it very well, and so I can empathize. And you did a good thing for your son to do the research that you did and turn something that was giving him some kind of solace into something that was good for all of you and also for others. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I One of the things I also wanted to add as well is that the the stories that the stories that are in our comics are all from Jake's imagination. I allow him to write and create the stories, and I just incorporate the daily lessons that from his teachers into the story, and that pretty much helps him along with his academics throughout the year.
Right.
And that also extends to all the other children in his classroom as well, who also found the character really interesting, and they have also become fans as well. But I always wanted to stress that one of the beautiful, unique elements about like the comic is that the story is told from the imagination of my son and not myself.
I like to say subconscious instead of
Right.
imagination.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. You're right. Yes.
Subconscious, yes. Uh-huh.
And and it's his spirit and personality that's
Exactly.
in it that really comes through, and that's what I find so like unique about it, and it's a wonderful thing. That's why I keep going.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So tell us a bit about the comic strip, Jake the Superhero.
Right. Okay. So
I love it because it redefines the whole autism thing. He's a superhero within himself. Look at what he did, and look at what you turned it into. So it's fantastic.
Well, the comic book centers around Jake, Jake Jetpulse, who is like an 8-year-old superhero.
Lovely.
And it's a group called the Jetpulse Squadron, which is him, Julia, which is a classmate or a schoolmate of his, and a troll named Mars. Okay, and they go on these adventures. They go on these adventures together, and the three of them actually. What's very unique is that they're like the symptoms of autism all together. So and
lovely.
they kind of work together as a whole. So where Julia is the expert and she's knowledgeable on certain things, where she will be able to give science facts and like she's very good, like an expert of certain things. And then like the troll, who basically is like the troll is more of like he's still finding his way to communicate, and like he's finding his way through, but like they all understand him, and then like Jake is that courageous side, like he's still learning everything, and like it's really nice to put it all together the way how it the way how they are as a group. It's amazing,
lovely.
and I have a lot of fun drawing them. It's great.
Fantastic. That's lovely. So we was discussing it, but I told you I was looking more into the material about Jake the Superhero, and I realized that all three, because there are characteristics of the one, all coming together, and so because they come to save the planet, right? The universe. They've come to and I saw it as they're like God's angels being sent on Earth to come, or throughout the universe to save the entire planet. And so they're angels. They're like guides. They're an extension of the God energy, who's come to save the universe.
You're on the right path, and not to spoil anything, but the characters, or one of them finds finds their purpose, or or a greater meaning. Well, all three of them will, but it extends more to just saving the city or like defeating a villain. That there is a purpose for all three of them, and there's a reason for them coming together. So, and it's all about bringing other heroes from all different parts of the universe all together. So there's there is a significance to all three, like in a way, like you mentioned, like a spiritual significance.
Yes, and the three personalities of Jake, or three characters of Jake. I'm trying to think of the right word to say. I like that there's that science, because in everything there is science, and there's also spirituality, which I see in the comic strip. And so we have the figure that represents science, and so they're working all together, and that's how it should be. Right.
And it's amazing, because there's a lot of things that I began to realize working with Jake. Like working with Jake for the last couple of years, putting the story together, I found that he's touching on some very scientific and spiritual things, and he may not be aware of it, but I find it very fascinating how he brings certain things out, like into the story. I remember there was we did mention before there was there's a character that we're introducing where she can see the past, present, and future all at the same time.
Lovely.
And it's one of the most. This is one of the coolest characters that I had a great time creating with him. And she's like a character that watches over the galaxy from a lighthouse at the edge of the galaxy, and only Jake could come up with something like this. So
wow.
And it was
so
amazing.
That's why I said it's a subconscious. It's not it's not imagination.
Yeah,
this is something that Jake is experiencing in those silent moments. And remember, we spoke about that children with autism. They have. What happens is there's that disconnect that happens. I'm not an expert. It's just a theory of mine. And that's how all these theorists came about, right? Is something that they felt, and they did scientific research to collaborate what they thought was, corroborate what they thought was right. And my thing is that there is the disconnect sometimes where the soul becomes like detached from the body, like they go to that spiritual space. And so that's why they're not able to control the body or control any function of it at that time, whether it be speaking, reading, writing, because they become bodiless. It's just a theory of mine. And so then there's that, okay, so the mind, the soul, the intellect, everything is over here and the body's over there. And so then there's this like, it's not together. So we're all together, but children with autism are not. They're not connected at that time where they're in a different place.
Right. But I found my way of understanding him, and everything becomes very clear. The voice recordings, the drawings, I've always saved, and this is what I refer to, like putting everything together. He's also like my art director. So he'll stand over my shoulder or sit in a chair next to me as I'm drawing everything, and and making sure that everything's according to his, according to his design. That okay, is this right, Jake? Is this what you want? And he's like, nah, it's got to look more like this. So I make sure that it's close to what he wants. And so far, he's been very pleased with how everything looks. Okay,
so Laled, we're going to actually see a short clip or video clip of wonderful Jake. So we're going to take a look at that right now, okay?
Okay.
Very, very sad because you have to go on Amazon and buy it.
Yep. Toys R Us is officially closed.
Yes, it is closed forever. I want to grow up. I want Toys R Us to be back. Because it's my day, they're not paying any money anymore. I don't want to grow up. I want to stay as a kid until it opens, until I can grow up. I can't just stay like this forever when Toys R Us closes. It'll be gone. It'll be gone forever and ever. Soon there will be no more Toys R Us in the world.
But you could buy toys on Amazon, right?
Right. But this Toys R Us store is closed. And Babies R Us too. This is officially closed.
So we just got to see wonderful Jake expressing himself. And in that, what I saw was loyalty.
Yes, like that was pretty much like, like closing his most favorite place on earth. So that was, so yeah, but that's Jake. He's like, we've pretty much been, like together like that. We spend a lot of time together. So, like pretty much wherever I go, he goes.
Lovely, lovely. I think this time now we will look at some of the clips of some of the cartoon pictures of what you've created for Jake. Okay, now we're looking at the sight words. Share a little bit about that, why you created the sight words.
Well, and interesting enough, when this was basically to help Jake build his vocabulary, and he was having some issues with reading in school. I started putting together the sight words, taking his daily sight words and incorporating them as flashcards. That's how that's how I started helping Jake learn how to read and learn how to identify words. When I created our reading, math, and activity book, I noticed that some of the other students in his class had difficulties as well. So I started working with the teachers to start getting weekly sight words or from their quizzes, putting them together, and because I wanted to help, not just himself. I saw that not only was it helping Jake, it was also helping other kids.
Excellent.
So I just started growing it from there. I started building from there to help, other children in his class, other children in within the school. So that's where I started. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll see the next clip now. Next picture. Okay, and there's the three icons. We have Angela. Is that right?
Julia. Yeah.
Julia.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake and the troll.
Uh-huh.
Does the troll have a name?
Yeah, well, that's Mars the troll.
Oh, Mars the troll. So there they are, jetting off. It's lovely. Okay, let's look at the next picture. And that's the front cover, I believe, of the comic strip. It's in red, Jake Jet Pulse. And
Yes.
there's the troll and Jake and Julia.
Yes.
Lovely. And the next one, I think there's one more. Yep, there's Jake and his team coming with him, his characters coming with him. It looks like, is that Brooklyn Bridge?
I believe that's the Manhattan Bridge there.
Oh, Manhattan Bridge. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's a coloring book, and there's different bonus coloring pages, and so you've expanded the comic book.
Right. And what I wanted to do was not only just create just a comic book. I wanted to create something that would engage children and make learning fun.
Yeah.
So bringing comic books and putting them in the classroom was really my main focus.
Lovely.
Jake's special interest, as you know, everything was superheroes. And by taking the superhero, the hero, and building the story around the academics is a way to to bring the children in and get them interested. So with the activity book, I incorporated addition, subtraction, reading and language exercises, along with coloring and other activities, just to make it fun. And it's a way for the children to interact with the characters, get to know them, and then they'll want to they'll want to do more activities with characters. So that's what in my next book, it'll also be pretty much along the same pattern. What I'm going to do is incorporate the comic and also add more lessons in there, so they get a full length story along with that. And I'm also going to incorporate characters, heroes, and villains who are also academic related.
Okay. So, Led, how could one reach you if you want to give your information in regards to your website, please?
Well, if anyone would like to contact me, they could do so by going to my website. It's www.jakejetpulse, that's one word, jakejetpulse.com.
Okay.
Okay, and you can contact me via the website, or on Facebook. I could also be contacted Facebook, which is Jet Pulse Comics.
Okay.
On Twitter, it's at JetPulse_comics. And also on Instagram. So I'm also so I could be found on either on all three.
Right. I think I met you on Twitter. I think that's where I.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I love how I just meet some of my guests through social media. It's like, hey, you want to come on my show? Sure.
Yeah, this was a great honor. I'm so thankful that you asked me.
Oh, I'm honored to have you on, because you are a role model father, which is very rare because we don't usually see dads taking this role. And so it's an honor to have you on, because you're doing a fantastic job. in regards to your son, and you're sharing it with many other families that will make a difference and a change. So, kudos to you, Led. And I just wish the very best for you, and anything I can do to help you, just let me know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yes. The reason I said subconscious is because we did share a little bit about how Jake had shared some experiences with you. And so the experiences are from a subconscious space. And what I liked is that you did not, you didn't try to deter him from it, like, oh, that's not right, that's craziness, whatever. You went with it. And so you helped to support what he knows to be the truth.
Well, I can't, I'm in no position to tell him that he's lying.
Very
and
good.
Because I'm a firm believer that, that there is, a power out there that's greater than us. And when Jake says something to me that may sound strange to someone else, I listen to it. I pay attention to everything that he tells me. So it's very important. It's very important that I help him make sense of what it is that what he's seeing or understanding.
Sure.
So I really don't want to tell him no, because if that's something that he believes, as long as it's something that's not going to hurt him,
there you go.
Then I completely endorse it. So
yeah, kudos to you. I look forward to meeting him, by the way.
He would really like that.
Good, very good. Yes, I could see it now. We'd get on like a house on fire. Well, I don't know if I should say that. That's like some of these sayings. It's like. So now, Led, what would you recommend to some parents that might be going through the kind of situation that you went through with Jake, and what you're continuing to journey through with him?
Well, looking back on it all, as like a single parent raising him, and especially like being on the spectrum, there are going to be good days, there are going to be wonderful days, and there are going to be bad days. And there's my advice is learn everything that you can. Early intervention, of course, is really important because it did wonders for Jake. But as a parent, learn everything that you can, and it's like read everything. Be patient. By all means, it's like be patient. And sometimes, when it comes to Jake, I've learned to really listen, to understand the value of communicating. And also there's no textbook to this. I think the best thing to do is to find a way to communicate. Find that way to communicate, because they're communicating with us, and we have to find that bridge there. I guess that's what it is. And that's what that. This is just an example. The comic book is just an example of me finding a way to help him find his words.
Right.
So,
yeah. That's very good. Very good advice, Led. You just sort of tried to connect with your son,
right,
where he was from his very deep place. You tried to connect with him, and you saw something, and you said, I can make this good for him. I can make this better for him.
Right.
Because he's a special young man, very special young man, and you saw that.
Thank you.
What you did, you encouraged his speciality. That's all it is. And you pulled out the specialties that he had and turned it into something that has been a tremendous resource for him and for others.
Well, if I could also add too, I just sometimes I think about things after the fact, like now.
Sure.
But one of the things that I found too, and I've also added these to my site as well, is that there were sensory activities that I added, like making homemade finger paint, or making homemade Play-Doh. Like, these were things that, even though they're like sensory activities, as you know, like building fine motor skills, but they're also good bonding activities. And these were also things that I also incorporated, because there's people out there who can draw, and it's okay. And you don't have to be you don't have to be like a comic book artist or like Picasso or Da Vinci, but you just have to be creative and find something that, like find something like that creates like a bonding experience. And that's what I started doing with Jake too.
Very good.
Like, and he loved like making homemade slime and getting his hands slimy and playing with finger paint. And these are the things that created
some sensory activities.
Right. They were sensory activities for him. It was like and at the same time we were both building like this bonding experience, because now he has those memories of us having fun.
Right.
And this is very important for like, especially parents who are like getting that diagnosis for the first time. Like they're like a newly diagnosed child, and they might be wondering like, what am I going to do? Or like, this is just my way of saying that you're not alone. Like I've been there, and that's the reason why this site was created.
Right. So yeah. So great. It's fantastic, Led. And so I think you've shared really a lot of things that can be done when we really go beyond what we think to be typical, because there is no normal. So when we go beyond what we believe to be typical, these are the magic gems that we can pull out of a treasure box to see the specialities of your son, because some people may go into sorrow and think like, why me? But you did not become the victim. You said, no, I'm going to be not the victim, but I'm going to be victorious for my son and for myself, because there's more to this than what I see.
Yes.
Very lovely. Anything else you would like to share, Led, with the viewers? We're winding down soon, the last minute or so.
Well, all I can say is thank you so much for the opportunity, and there's going to be some great stories that are coming. So as far as like Jake's adventures, I would love to hear from like therapists, doctors, and teachers as well. This is the way like how like we build something, to help not just Jake, but other children as well. Right. And spread, like Jake Jetpulse and his adventures to other children is what we're planning on doing for 2015 and beyond.
You've got me thinking now, because I was a big, because I think I read something on the articles about reading comics as a young person yourself, and and I used to do the same when I was in England. That's my thing. I used to get my comic books and go in the market and get my peanuts. That was my Saturday mornings. And now I'm going to take a revisit of some of those comic books I used to read and see, now my third eye is open. Now I want to see what it is that I was so attracted with these comic books. I really want to look at that now. It really has given me something to revisit. So anyway, Led, I'm going to have to finish. I just got a shot of myself there, like this bright red.
Okay.
So we're going to finish up the show now. And so we will be talking more and see how we can do some things together to make some big changes. So I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Right, and so just hold. I'm just going to thank my viewers for tuning in. So hang on there with me.
Okay.
Okay. So to my wonderful viewers, I want to wish you a very happy holiday and the best for the new year, today and every day. And every day is a renewal. It's not just a new year. So look at it as that and find a virtue, whether it be peace, love, happiness, etc., and make that be the renewal in your life. And your level of consciousness is the gateway to your future. Thank you.